Welcome, lucky viewer, and thank you for joining me today as we descend into the steps of madness, as we traverse the battlefield in the battle to crown the king of terrible anime. We find ourselves with yet another Crunchyroll original, EX Arm. This will be going head to head with our current champion, High Guardian Spice.
I am Slime Boy.
Oh my god, shut up. Again, I will not read any reviews, recaps, or do any research until I watch the entire series myself and form my own opinions. For some perspective into the kind of nonsense we are going to get into this time, I convinced my longtime associate Blackstar to watch the series with me, kind of like an accountability buddy. Here are his initial reactions before even starting the anime. Despite those initial reactions, he ended up making it to round 3 and losing by TKO. I had no choice but to press on, all for you guys. So make sure you hit the like button and leave a comment below on the next anime I should tackle. Obviously there will be spoilers, but if you haven't watched it by now, that's too bad. So let's talk about I have already watched the anime and formed my thoughts. Now comes the most interesting part, digging into this nonsense to figure out how such a steaming pile was ever allowed to be released. Now a lot of credit here goes to Redditor HobbyDrama. While he or she was not the reason I chose to cover EX Arm, their Reddit post on the background information and development was indispensable trying to figure out what the hell happened with this anime. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to read their post. A lot of our information will be the same as my research yielded similar information. EX Arm aired as a 12-episode Crunchyroll original from January 11th, 2021 to March 29th, 2021. Directed by Yoshikatsu Kimura, we will call Yoshi moving forward. Looking at his IMDb page, we can see some projects he directed. I Kit Girl released in 2009, Karate Girl released in 2011, and a few others. Looking at his project list, EX Arm is the only anime on it, which is surprising to me. From the titles and descriptions on his other projects though, it's clear Yoshi is a big fan of action-oriented projects, hence Karate Girl and High Kit Girl. I mean, look at these covers. Combine a director with no animation experience with a studio that has no anime experience, and it's a recipe for disaster. That's right, the director and studio have zero experience. The studio chosen for this project was Visual Flights, which seemed to be a studio with zero animation experience outside of a few video game titles. I decided to visit the Visual Flights website, which was tedious as it's not in English. You can see on their website what projects they were involved in listed, but they absolutely have zero mention of EX Arm, and for good reason. I wouldn't claim that shit either. One thing I did find that was pretty cool is that they have a semi-interactive character design experience, I guess you could call it. You can actively cycle between characters, changing the lighting, zoom in, out, and even do things like this. Though the characters clearly don't like this style of Riz. Kudos Visual Flight. They even have a little dance number apparently. Now this next part was even shocking to me as I have never heard of this happening during production, and all credit here goes to HobbyDrama, as I could not find this information on my own. It seems like a lot of strange things happen behind the scenes of this anime. One of these being that there were multiple storyboard directors, again with zero animation experience. The most interesting thing Hobby talks about is that EX Arm was funded by multiple companies, the most random one being a car company, Royal Limousine. They even have a terrible commercial or trailer or whatever you want to call it where they take clips of the anime and run them through while showing off their car. It's the most random thing I have ever seen. I did a little digging here and it seems that the company has doubled down on its backing of EX Arm, even going as far as to say that they will still support it and will support a cinematic release. This tweet was released in January 27th while the anime aired January 11th, just a few days prior. I wonder if the company still stands on this tweet. After visiting the website, which again was entirely in Japanese, the things I do for you guys, I swear. I was able to find some graphics and car designs with EX Arm graphics. I combed through some of the pages and found out that the company does still support EX Arm, but they are smart about it. Aside from that one commercial, I could not find any references to the anime. They made sure to use only eye catchers and only had them peppered in after talking about sales and things like that. What a waste of my 5 minutes. I will go over what eye catchers are later in the video for those that don't know. It's not rare for a company to try to capitalize on the hype or our love for anime and make a few bucks by introducing collaborations, but this one just doesn't make any sense, especially considering EX Arm did not have any traction compared to other more lucrative series. Usually when a company funds an anime, they go all in and it's all for the potential profits. I wonder what the thought process was for this backing. It wasn't a small one, they were the biggest backers for this anime. When I think of supporting anime and using it to promote business, Demon Slayer flights come to mind. Nike collaborations with Zion and Naruto, Adidas collaborations with Dragon Ball Z all do it right. Even the episode pictures listed on Crunchyroll had me rolling. These are not the snips I would have used to display my anime. Remember I said I had an accountability buddy? Well, here are his initial reactions before even starting the series.
Yo, look at her face, yo. What did they do? What did they do to her face? God damn it. This is so bad.
Now let's get into the story. When you are able to focus on it, it's pretty decent. Tokyo has been ravaged by advanced weapons called EX arms. An attack 10 years ago in 2020 wiped out about 17% of Japan, and the people are still recovering from the effects. Orphans, labeled street children, struggle to live day by day. In current day 2030, EX arms are being used for crime. We follow Akira, or EX Arm 00, who plays a major role in the events that unfolded in the past and the ones that will unfold in the future. Akira was a normal human who was in an accident in 2014 when he was hit by a truck. He then appears again during the main events of the story as EX Arm 00, missing all his body parts aside from his brain. Seems super cool on paper, and even just typing this out got me kind of excited to solve the mystery. Where do the EX arms come from? What is Akira's role in everything, and why was he targeted? The story is told in 3 different timelines, 2014, 2020, and 2030, which is pretty interesting, but man are some of the flashbacks overused, especially when referencing the attacks on Tokyo in 2020. Once I got past some, hell who am I kidding, all of the animation issues, the story got me a little invested. The plot kind of stands still for a while as Akira teams up with the Counter EX Arm Division of the police department and gets closer to them. The Counter EX Arm Division is just as it sounds. The division specializes in capturing EX arms and preventing them from causing harm to the public. Though even this relationship development felt really rushed. Again, proper relationships are very hard to build in 12 episodes sometimes. I felt nothing of real note happened until episodes 6, 7, and 8, where a lot of different plot points come together. Major parts of multiple character stories start to move forward from here. The events behind the Tokyo attacks are revealed, Akira's transformation into the EX Arm 00 is revealed, along with a few other character stories. The person behind the attacks is revealed to be an EX Arm codenamed Beta, who shares the same EX Arm number 00 as Akira. Minami's backstory is also revealed in these episodes, which forces her to go through some painful memories. The ending is abrupt as hell, and honestly pretty lame. After defeating the main villain finally, and seemingly being able to move on, the heroes have to gamble everything and set a wide-scale EMP that could cause more damage to Japan than the original attacks in 2020. Spoiler, Akira, Alma, and YGG sacrifice themselves and the blast is seemingly set off, and the anime just ends. Right there. Abruptly. We never get to see any of the characters or how they are dealing with things. We just see Minami in her car staring at her passenger side seat with an eye-shaped robot on her dash. She doesn't say anything and things seem to be normal. How much time has passed since the end of the anime? How much damage will cost? Why end it like this? I don't understand. If you're liking the video so far, please subscribe to the channel and like the video. It really goes a long way in making sure my content reaches as many people as possible. Now let's get into we have a small band of characters, mainly those part of the Counter EX Arm Division that serve as the protagonists, along with the primary antagonists. Natsume Akira, a typical high school student until a freak accident suddenly kills him. He wakes up years later to discover he has a powerful weapon that among others brought chaos and destruction to Japan. He is now designated EX Arm 00 or Alpha, and though he has no body, he has the ability to hack advanced systems, networks, process insanely large amounts of data, and can maneuver the real world by taking over Alma's body. He is also able to control a remote suit codenamed Ogre, a suit of immense power when used by Akira. Akira usually navigates around in a robot shaped like a little eyeball camera. Akira undergoes some decent development throughout the series, being the main character he should. He starts off as a normal boy who is not a fan of technology. When he is woken up 16 years later under EX Arm 00, his only thoughts are if he is still human and how he can go back to being human. He slowly forgets to forget about this and focus on his job in the Counter EX Arm Division. In his battle against the android Elmira, and even in some of his encounters with Alma, Akira questions their sense of independence, telling them that they don't have to simply follow orders. This is some development in my opinion. Akira goes from struggling to remember if he is even human to being able to sacrifice himself to save his fellow citizens without hesitation. Beta, or EX Arm 00 Beta, a mysterious entity that lives alongside Akira. He looks identical to Akira, and the only difference is the way he speaks and their eyes. Not much is known about him from the beginning, that he only seeks to make Akira destroy. Beta seems to have been the one behind the Tokyo destruction, and also seems to have a superiority complex to Alpha, or Akira. It is revealed in episode 8 that he shares the same EX number 00 as Akira, codenamed Beta, and his appearance was copied from Akira's. A mere copy of Akira, Beta possesses no morals or empathy of any kind. He is almost Akira's polar opposite and causes destruction because he thinks it's fun. Minami is the comedy relief and Alma's partner. A believer in the strong must protect the weak, the emotionally charged one among the group. Minami has a strong sense of justice and empathy. She is introduced as the funny character in the group. Minami undergoes a lot of trials throughout the story. She lost her parents and younger brother in a terrorist bombing. When Minami finds out her little brother Soma is alive as a cyborg who can no longer speak, Minami is crushed. Even more so to find out that Soma has pledged to get revenge on the group that caused the bombing. The same group, who it just so happens that Minami must protect, as they are spearheading the restoration of Japan through financial means. This puts her in an emotional battle between deciding what's right and wrong, and Minami ends up taking a shot at her brother to try and stop him. The entire situation proves too much for her to bear, and she is knocked out by YGG until the events resolve. This was an interesting move by the writers in my opinion. The brightest character in the police force had such a tragic backstory and seemingly lost everything. Her mother, her father, and her brother. Then to bring her brother back on the opposite side of things and cause so much hurt was an emotional punch in the stomach. Well done here. I always feel that anime does a lot better when you can get behind a person's motives. And Soma in his quest for revenge after having everything taken from him, Minami's fight and believing revenge won't bring happiness both have vital points. Minami believes that even though the memory of losing her parents hurts her deeply, the memories they made together when they were alive shine much brighter and keep her going. Which is just beautiful. Alma is Minami's partner and an android, more serious of the group. She has a high combat ability and is able to analyze her opponents and counter them, such as when she was able to figure out the flaw in the EX arm through hand, after only having fought it for a few minutes. She does the same thing in her battle against Soma, being able to see the limits of his EX arm and is able to defeat him in battle. In terms of development, Alma gets the most, going from an obedient android who would do anything that she was ordered from being an android with free will. The only thing is this happens so quickly and it felt kind of weird. Alma gets brainwashed by the enemy, and once the brainwashing is removed, she all of a sudden has free will, being able to make decisions on her own without orders, even as far as being able to kill a person without being ordered to, which is actually kind of terrifying. The first person that she battles with this free will is Minami's brother Soma to stop him from killing those responsible for his parents' death. This results in Soma's death. Alma, with her newfound freedom, believes that she cannot judge Soma for his thirst for revenge. It is the only thing keeping him going after having everything, his parents, and even his body taken from him. She holds him as he passes away, which I don't think she would have initially done before this newfound freedom. Alma's progress is actually stunning and really beautiful and really terrifying at the same time. Again, it feels a little rushed. It's the closest thing we have to bridging the gap between android and human in the series. I think it stands as an important milestone. A rushed one at that though. The rest of the characters are a little less important, but I would feel bad leaving them out, so I'll try and rapid fire them. Professor Himadami, an engineer and EX arms expert, the smartest person on the team and is often the only one able to understand just how powerful Akira's EX arm abilities are, such as his battle against Almira when he went berserk. He ended up hacking multiple military layers and even moving satellites up in space, sending the world into a panic. A cool plot twist occurs with Elisa and she ends up being under the effects of an EX arm. YGG, a quantum computer made by the Iria Corporation. Her avatar takes the appearance of a young girl with pink hair, though her real body is a computer. She is the one who created the designs for Alma and is considered her mother. Given her circumstances, she is the most similar to Akira and had a crush on him. She is one of the 3 characters that sacrifices themselves to stop Beta and save Japan. Shoichi, Akira's older brother. He loves his little brother and is the main factor behind Akira's growth and current situation. Shoichi told Akira that the secret to changing is just taking that first step and trying. Shoichi is a brilliant scientist and engineer, and when Akira was killed, was the main reason Akira ended up being an EX arm, with hopes of the future technology would allow his brother to live and have a body. Shoichi is also one of the 2 people who developed the main antagonist Beta. Shoichi regrets this so much that he even made a clone of himself to see that Beta is destroyed in the future. He's also the chief of the EX arm division. Honestly, I don't even remember his name, but I love this character. He got killed off on some lame shit, so I'm not even gonna bother. There's very minimal character development aside from Alma's development, and that was kind of rushed. A lot of the characters maintain the same thoughts and beliefs as when they start the story. Sure, Akira starts to take steps towards change, but his mentality isn't touched upon that much. Other than the fact that he wants to change and help save people currently, I don't feel it's any different than what Akira would have done at the start of the series. It's just that now he has been given the ability to do so, being an EX arm and having access to Ogre. The characters are fleshed out a bit more in the manga, but we will talk about that later. For now, let's get into this is going to be the longest section because unfortunately there's just too much to cover here. So break out your masks and let's get into it. Why your masks? Because for some reason I can't wrap my head around, the animators decided to overlay the entire series in this shitty, terrible fog effect that adds absolutely nothing to anything. Let's start with this clip right here. I legitimately laughed out loud doing this part. The character's face just got to me immediately. The dumb smiley face just ruined all the cool energy the first few seconds built up. If you like this particular scene, then rejoice. They used this scene so many times in the 12 episodes, it can give Naruto's swing scene a run for its money. Let's talk about the intro next. The intro starts shortly after that clip, and again I had to pause it. We're shown a shot of who I presume is the main character, Akira, and his face visibly disturbed me. Tell me this man isn't looking right through your soul. I mean, I wouldn't trust this dude to save me with that face. The rest of the characters in the intro aren't as bad, but there's something odd about them. I can't put my hands on it, but there's something almost lifeless about their facial expressions. Some characters have it worse than others. I tried my best to just let the first episode rock. Don't take notes, I told myself. Watch and see how you feel, and literally a few seconds later I find myself checking on my TV resolution to ensure I was watching in HD. And indeed I was. Why, do you ask? Because of this shit. This shit looks pixelated. I mean, am I the only one seeing that? The backgrounds are just terrible right after the zoom. I am greeted with who I was assumed is the main character, and even the drapes look terrible. None of the animation matches. Please understand guys, this is the first episode and I'm only 2 minutes in. What a journey this will be. Okay. What the fuck is this? The animation is just a jumbled mess. 3D animation mixed with Microsoft Paint, mixed with traditional 2D. The problem is they are all bad. For the most part, throughout the series is just a mashup of different styles and it just does not work. Traditional animation style looks better when on screen next to the 3D, but in general it doesn't look good on its own at all. It's choppy and the characters' lips are always off. I know I'm splitting hairs, but it bothered me a lot. The voice acting is fine and I had no issues with the Japanese cast, however the animation did them no favors. The lips just looked like they were made to move and took no consideration into what the character was saying. The first action scene where Alma fights a bunch of smugglers on board the ship is well choreographed, but animated terribly, and the camera kinda gave me a headache. Alma's battle against Soma is also choreographed pretty well. That's where my compliments stop. Everything else just seems so stiff and awkward. Camera angle switch ups and the zooming in and out also gave me a headache multiple times when watching some of the scenes. Even small things that we take for granted when watching decently anime series were overlooked here, such as their facial expressions of the characters. The face and eyes do not change unless the character blinks. It doesn't matter what the character is doing, they could be getting sliced in half and look the same as if they were just talking to someone. The main part that took things over the edge was the studio's decision to not animate the kiss between Alma and Minami. This particular thing is not only important for fan service reasons, but is important for Akira because it allows him to access all of his EX arm abilities. Alma must attain Minami's genetic code, and this is done through a kiss. Clear fan service as any animating fan can see. Yet Visual Studio chose not to animate the kisses. None of them. Instead, all we got is a shitty flash of light where the lips would meet. Why would you do this? This is a big fan service point, and you just toss it into the mud. Can't believe someone sat there, dragged that light effect there and thought, no, this is rock, this is good. We get small glimpses of what the anime could have been during the half episode intermissions. For those that don't know, these are called eye catchers. They are artwork by Shinya Komi. It is truly incredible. Here are some of them. Eye catchers aside, the effects on the rest of the animation is just terrible, and were definitely added as an afterthought. I mean, what effect is this even supposed to be? What is that on the left side of the screen? Why does it look chopped out? Look at the wires on that side. What is going on there? The entirety of episode 2 is overcast with a weird gray effect. I assume they were trying to mimic clouds and fog. I mean, look right here. There is clearly a line where the steam effect was dropped over the artwork and it looks absolutely terrible. Why is the fog in like every scene, even indoors? It makes the terrible animation look even worse. It would have been better to just leave it out. Coupled with terrible fog, random ass effects, faceless people, the anime also had a terrible habit of zooming in and out unnecessarily throughout the entire series. Honestly, there's just too much to list here and we don't have all day, so I'll have a compilation of ridiculous animation at the end of the video. But for now, let's jump into the final. After episode 3, I literally had to tell myself to stop taking notes. There are just too many problems and I never would have finished the anime if I pointed out everything. The anime had some really cool concepts, and I may have looked too deeply into these comparisons, but here's what I think the creator was going for. Bear with me for a second. Alma and Elmira thoughts versus Beta's mindset. Alma and Elmira are both androids, and all they care about is following orders and doing whatever they were programmed for. For Elmira, this was her boss Maul. That's not how you say his name, but that's what I'm going with. And for Alma, she sacrificed herself for the department and nothing more. Their situations can be seen as sympathetic as they are both doing what they are programmed for, and they state this many times. This is the same situation Beta is in. Though he is not an android, he was created to be a weapon. He's not a human like Akira was, so he does not possess his morals and values. Beta was not created with an objective like the others, and the path he chose as a result is one of destruction. I believe he was meant to be used as a comparison to both Elmira and Alma. Elmira's dedication to her programming and following orders ultimately cost her everything, whereas Alma is able to evolve and develop human-like qualities, in a sense gaining her freedom. Sounds like nonsense when I say it out loud. These are what my thoughts were. Take it with a grain of terrible CGI animated salt. I just can't imagine that this anime truly captures the creators Shinya Komi and Hyrox's vision, or was what they signed up for. I'm curious to see how the source material holds up. After watching this anime, I felt it was only fair for me to give the manga a chance. I actually decided to dive into the manga. It was actually pretty darn good. There are way more fleshed out backstories and a lot of things are explained more. Yeah, animation isn't everything, but I felt it really took away from so many of the potential good this anime could have done. Would it have been great? No, but it could have been halfway decent under a better studio. With animes like Cyberpunk Edge Runners and the longtime GOAT Ghost in the Shell, there's so much good anime that have similar concepts that I just can't justify watching this to anybody. I would tell people, read the manga. But sadly, as much as I enjoyed reading the manga, unless you can read Japanese, you are not going to find anything complete. The most I have been able to read translated is about 41 or so volumes, with the last being released in 2021. Even if you want to read Komi's other works like EX-ARM EXA, which is actually the sequel to EX-ARM, or the spin-off EX-ARM Another Code, that's right, there's a lot more story to be had. You can't, because the series as a whole has been canned, stated by Komi himself. It seems like Komi these days is focusing on his other work titled Dressed in the Sky, or Wear the Sky, which focuses on an oil painter attempting to paint the ultimate nude. I can only imagine the fan service he's gonna pile on this one. Before I give my judgment, please remember, this rating is for the anime only. After finishing my review, I have actually dived into the manga, and there are a world of differences. If you would like a separate video exploring these differences, then drop a comment down below. But for now, here are some of the panels from the manga. With all that being said, I have to place EX-ARM in the must avoid, seriously do not watch under any circumstances category. I mean, unless you want a good laugh. Terrible animation, backgrounds, CGI, effects, pacing, among other things, crown this 12-episode masterpiece as the new king of terrible anime. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to. Thanks for watching. Stick around if you want to see more funny snips from this anime, and my thoughts on them. This has to be one of the worst explosion sequences I have ever seen. Just a mashup of pure damn nonsense. Here from the guy's clothes, the fog effect being animated differently than his cigarette smoke, it's just terrible. And why are his clothes like that? If this is his attempt to show a waifu, that's not it, bruh. Here we have Akira talking to his brother. How are they related? One of them is 2D and one of them is 3D. The mom must have been cheating. One of my favorite terrible moments of all, we got the multi-shadow clone jutsu. Look at this terrible, terrible animation. Well, I've had about all I can take for now. Check out the rest of my videos while I attempt to grow this beautiful anime community. Catch you in the next one.